Morning and happy Tuesday. Justin here with Dalinghaus Construction, and today we made the trek all the way out to Palm Springs, California to get an update on this big old retaining wall project that we've been working on for the past couple months. So we've got Joe and James's crew out here today, and if you're new to this project or you haven't seen any of our check-ins, I'll give you a brief little summary. So we have almost 500 feet of failing retaining wall that is leaning and showing various signs of settlement and lateral movement and failure. So we were hired to come out and repair this wall. So we have almost 500 feet. We installed 53 helical tieback anchors, which are very similar to our vertical helical piles that you may have seen in some of our other content, except these ones are put in at an angle, so about between a 20 and 30 degree angle. These are driven in, and they were driven into an average depth, I believe, of about 50 feet. So ultimately what we're doing, kind of simplify this, is we're tying this wall into soils about 50 feet away, which is pretty close to the street that these homes are actually sitting on. So we're tying in this wall to those competent load-bearing soils, those good soils, so this wall stops leaning and stops rotating. So in addition to those, you can see these big old strips of black. Those are carbon fiber, and we'll actually get real close to this. You can see some of this carbon fiber. And those are acting very similar to whaler beams and tying in these tiebacks to the wall. So tying them all in together. So we have the 53 tiebacks, we have the carbon fiber, and then we have, see behind me there, we have a bunch of I-beams, and those are going to be going vertically. I think where you're actually seeing a lot of these vertical strips behind me here. But let's go take a look at what the crew's got going on with this carbon fiber, what that process looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this project. So we got about a football field to walk, so I'll show you guys some of this wall, some of the repairs that we have already completed. And these tiebacks, they're not done yet. We've just got the nuts sitting on top. They're going to be tightened down once the I-beams are in place. What do you have to say, Joe?
Not much.
Joe,
Just here putting some wrap against this nice retaining wall. Yep, fun.
James and Joe are laying down the carbon fiber. We got under here, put down some of this fiber infused, is it epoxy?
Yeah.
Fiber infused epoxy. Show you guys some of this fiber.
Go past the bottom grout line a little bit. You're running short.
So the crew's making tons of progress since the last time we were out here. Let's jump into a time lapse of them laying down the second and third layers here. When I showed up this morning, the top layer was already laid down. But let's take a look at those time lapses, and then we'll be back here. We're wrapping it up.
Gather around the fire, boys, a story I will tell about a persecution I'm sure you don't know well. An Oklahoma tale, trading land and gems, going down a river that you can't come back up again.
So let's talk a little bit about this process of laying this carbon fiber down. So the first thing, which I may or may not have some archive footage of, is prepping this wall. So the crew sandblasted actually this wall, and then came at it with some grinders and prepping the surface to receive the first layer of epoxy. So prepping the wall, and then laying down a layer of fiber infused epoxy, and getting that nice and smooth, and then laying down that layer of carbon fiber, which you can see they're doing currently. Once they've laid that down, they're going to scrape it in nice and tight and kind of squeegee out that epoxy that's underneath. And then once that's on, they'll come back, and that's what Angel's doing behind me now, is rolling on that final layer of fiber infused epoxy, just to ensure that all the carbon fiber is fully saturated with epoxy and can properly bond to this wall and properly act like a railer beam and add support to this wall and tie everything in together. So let's take a look at that.
Cities across the country, all the papers read. Rain of terror continues, another Indian dead. Old Hickory Andrew Jackson drove him down through Tennessee. From Ohio came the Osage, the mountains Cherokee.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us here today in Palm Springs. Hopefully you're able to learn a little bit about CFRP, or carbon fiber reinforced polymers, and how we're utilizing them here to reinforce this retaining wall and ensure that it no longer moves laterally or fails ever again in the future.
Around with pretty flowers to sow, you might stop and notice nobody's very old.